came back and I was like burning on my face. I was literally almost in tears. And I said, how could you do that?
Hello guys, welcome to another live session with myself Naeem here at Naeem Drop. As I have been doing on a weekly basis, I'm back yet again, this time on a Thursday. Hope you've been having a lovely week so far and everything is all good. And today I will be being joined by the absolute lovely Miss Jasmine Dhillon, fellow model, international model, who I like to call Jazzy D. So Jazzy D is going to be in the house with us today. And this girl, let me just tell you, she is one of the most loveliest, sweetest person I have met in this industry. And yeah, she's a beautiful soul inside and out. So I'm super excited to have her. In fact, I think she has just joined the chat. So let me just add her in and then we can get started. Here she is!
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am okay. One second, let me move this back because I'm just, yeah, that's a bit better. How have you been?
I've been very good, Jasmine.
Yeah,
I've been very good. How have you been? It's so lovely to see you, even if it
I
is
know. It's been like
virtually.
ages since we last saw each other.
I was going to say, even before the whole lockdown thing, I don't think I had seen you for quite a long time,
No.
very long time.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's lovely to see you this way anyway. And
I know.
obviously, we follow each other on our socials, so we always get to know what we're up to. We're regularly in
This is
touch
it.
and
This is
whatnot.
it.
And I was trying to remember back, and I think I first met you at India Fashion Week 2016, where we were both stand models.
I think
And
you remember dates. I don't even remember. It's like a big blur. I just know I've seen people in various places. This is just how it's all mushed into one.
this is it, and this is what I kind of love about the industry, right? Like you meet so many people, and actually a lot of us end up becoming really good friends, don't we?
Yeah. We're
And
like
you know
these
what I was
friends
saying?
that all kind of congregate like 2 or 3 times a year. We never see each other any other time apart from shows and shoots and random working events. But it's so much fun.
It is, and it's like when you get back together again, it's like you've never been apart, right?
Exactly. It's like it hasn't been like 5 or 6 months. We were literally just there 2 weeks ago, even though it was like God knows how long ago. Doesn't feel different.
I totally, and oh my God, Jazz, I miss that. I miss those days so much. I'm like, can Chrono just be over already?
I
Like,
keep like in my head, so because I've been in India the last 3 years on and off, on and off. So this is the first, I think, full year in 3 years I've been back in London, and my body clock's just like we're due a show. Like you've got this seasonal shows, so you've got one that will come out like March, April, or May. Then you've got like December one. So this whole year has felt really strange, I think, because I'm so ready to go like jump back into work, and there's so much that's just not happening.
and I just like I feel like my socials right now are just about putting up throwbacks and memories because nothing else is going on, and like it just comes up on my
Literally.
feed. Like this time last year, I was like London Fashion Week or whatever it might be, and I'm like, oh my God, I missed that. But Jazz, we're gonna touch upon, you mentioned obviously being in India for a few years, but we're definitely going to touch upon that a bit later
Yeah,
because
yeah,
I've had
sure.
a lot of questions come through
Hmm.
because you're one of the few models actually in the British Asian market who's also sort of conquered the South Asia in terms of modeling in India too.
Not
So,
conquered. It's like,
okay,
oh, far away from it. We're just like stepping our feet into it. Haven't conquered anything.
give yourself some credit because if you are signed to a good agency out there and you're
I
attending classes
was.
on a regular
And then
basis.
I went freelance. So
Oh, interesting. Okay, do you know what? This is getting juicy already. So before we get straight into that, can you just to everyone watching background to yourself? So you know, where'd you come from? Well, you were born in the UK, right?
yeah, born and raised here in
Yeah.
London, Northwest London. And it's funny because I never actually planned on getting into modeling or acting. And the first time I got scouted, I was 18. I was on a gap year from uni. I was down to go back and study law in Birmingham the following year. And I also like I've always had like a balance between like really like studious, typical brown girl in London, very nice studious side, and then like something else on the side, so something for your parents and like what's very, very, you know, acceptable good work, and then something else on the side like for that you like. So I really liked, like I was studying media and I wanted to get into media, so I was looking for internships. So the way it happened is I went in for an interview for an internship with BBC, and I came back and a client walked past and they gave me a call back and they were like, you know, we're really sorry you didn't get through on the internship, but we had a client who went past and they want to do a shoot and they think you'd be really good for it. And I was just like, no. They're like, try it, it'll be good for you, da da da. And it was quite funny because I'm like, for everybody who knows me, I'm like a massive tomboy. I've always been a tomboy. Most of my friends are guys, and it was just bizarre. Like, I'm a very clumsy person. I can't walk 2 steps without having like a bruise or a knock, something. So when my friends found out, they just laughed. They found it so funny. And they're like, yeah, right, this is the good one. And I was like, no, genuinely, like, this is what's happened. So anyway, I was like, what's the worst that could happen? Went, joined, and I actually kind of liked it because with media, you're used to working behind the camera and then you work in front of it and it's like addictive kind of, right? So from there, I was 18 when I started. I'm 27 this year. So I've been literally almost 10 years in the industry. And when I started, like I'm a typical, very, very typical Punjabi body type. Like I'm very curvy. Like I'm curvy everywhere. It's not like I'm bottom heavy or top heavy. I've got broad shoulders. So I'm not your typical A-frame model. I've got curves in all the places that designers hate having curves. So I'm not like the standard size that everybody looks for. So when I started, like the first thing I was like, okay, let's apply for agencies. So applied, and it wasn't like back 10 years ago, you didn't see any Asian faces at all in agencies. So the standard response I would get from agencies is, okay, so, you know, what would you do if we put you in lingerie shoots, swimwear shoots? And I was 18. My mum was definitely not going to let me do any of that. And I just wasn't very confident in that level as a person. And mind you, I was like a size 14 maybe back then. So like I'm a baby at this point. And I said, you know, well, I wouldn't be comfortable with it, but, you know, let's just see. And the first thing they would say, well, you're Asian. If you're not going to do that, they would just assume straight away before even asking someone, like, well, if you're Asian, you're not doing that. So we don't really want those kinds of faces. We want someone who does everything. And I used to be like, oh, so, you know, does that mean there's not really much of a space there for me? Then from there, I joined an agency, which a lot of the Asians know of as TMP. And now the founder of that, Marcus, has opened his own agency called Bain. So one of his first agencies was TMP. So I was signed with TMP, and that's how I kind of got into the South Asian modeling industry. I made my contacts. I learned so much with them. And then from there, I went freelance. And then like the rest of it just kind of progressed naturally on its own. I did a couple of shows here in the UK. Then from there, you know, my family in India was just like, why don't you try out here? Like, you know, you've hit kind of a dead end. Commercial agencies were just not interested in someone who looked like me here in the UK. So let's come over to Mumbai and let's try it. So this was like 2016. So I was like, okay.
What, after a good 4 or 5 years?
Yeah, 4 or 5 years, something like that. So 2016, like I left my job where I was working part-time, and yeah, I was doing modeling part-time and working part-time. Probably should mention that. And then I went to India. So I saved up all this money for about 6 months, went to India for about 3 months, visited all my family, did a bit of traveling, sent in like my profile to a couple of agencies and was like, hi, I'm here and I just want to see if you find me interesting, and you know, from there. So I heard back from one agency only, and that was Inega. So Inega is based in Mumbai. They're one of the most loveliest people. So like I said, again, I was very curvy. Even as a 12, like I was curvy. And these guys called me in, and I think it's the only time I've ever been to an agency and they haven't asked me to lose weight till date. It's the only agency I've been to. And I said, you know, what do you need from me? And they just said, nothing. We just want you and a visa, and you just come and we'll sort you guys out. And I was really kind of like dumbfounded, because for me that was a whole new concept, like an agency that just wanted me as I was. They didn't want to adjust the way I looked. They didn't want me to change the way I looked. They said, we just love the fact that you are different. And for me, that was like, wow, okay, cool. So that's where I kind of got this click inside me to be like, okay, let's go Mumbai and let's do it. And then, yeah, I was with them for about a year. I used to be back and forth for like 6 months here, 6 months there. Then for 2019, I was there for about a full year. And that's when I went freelance, because I kind of had a lay of the land and I wanted to see what was, you know, on the other side, because I've done freelancing here and I know the way it works. So I wanted to kind of see how it would impact my career there in India. So yeah, I think that's a roundup of everything in a nutshell.
Thank you. That was a very good roundup. Actually, do you know what? I'm going to get straight to it and touch upon and just kind of like get you to just kind of expand on what you said, especially with regards to, because you mentioned both in the UK, you went from being signed to TMP, which is now BAME, and then going freelance, and then even in India, you were with Inega, and then you would decide to go freelance. So
Yeah.
in both of those markets, what was it that kind of made you go freelance? And what was the main, because I get this question quite a lot, should I be freelance? Should I be agency signed? And it is something that I want to do a video on at some point, but I would love to get your opinion on it as to, yeah, why you went freelance and what was the difference that you noticed between being signed to an agency and being able to do work freelance?
Yeah, sure. So I would always recommend going with an agency for a number of reasons. But if you're starting off, the agency is the safest place to be with. Yeah, it might have its ups and downs, but at least you know you're looked after. The agency is always going to look for your whereabouts if you're underage, because a lot of underage people do model still. If you are going to places where, you know, you normally yourself would not feel safe, the agency takes care of all of that. They make sure your safety is priority, your health is priority. So, you know, they arrange those things for you, and the things that, you know, your parents would probably ask you those questions, your
If it's
agency
a good
covers that.
agency,
Huh?
if they're good, if they're a good
Yeah, that's
agency.
what an agency should do. If they're a good agency, if they're a true agency, that is what they should do. And the other thing, which I have to reiterate, they will not take any money from you, because there is this notion that to become a model, you must invest and put in money. That's so not true. Like, completely. Anybody who takes money from you is not a real agency. They are not a legitimate agency. They are, excuse my French, the shit. And you don't want to be associated with them. So run far, far away from anybody who ever asks you for any money or any financial gains, because they're just not right. But yeah, the other thing that an agency is good for is contacts and growth and learning, because, you know, when you're fresh, or even if, you know, you've worked and you have been out of the industry for a while, your agency nurtures your talent. They will find you collaborations, they will find you test shoots, which is basically, again, a collaborative project with other creatives, photographers, designers, stylists, makeup artists, you know, all the people that you probably want to be in touch with, but you can't be with because you don't know them or you're not aware of how to do it. That's what your agency does. They branch you out and they network you. So I feel like an agency usually is the best way to go. The reason I left here in the UK is because at the time, TMP was transforming into something different. So they were growing, I was growing. And for me, a lot of my work was coming freelance at the time. And I just felt like, you know, it's better because I don't have to give my cut of that money to someone else, because an agency will take fees depending on your contract. Sometimes, you know, they don't take fees off your own freelance work, and some agencies they do. So it just depends on what your agency's contract is. And for me, I just felt like it was better to get that whole fee that I was working for if I was searching for the jobs that I was getting and, you know, I was working for it. Then why would I want to give that money to somebody else? In India, it was brilliant being with Inega just because I had no idea of the way the industry worked over there. It was completely new. Even like the language, like I said, I'm Punjabi, so I can speak Punjabi. I understand Hindi, but I could not speak it when I got there. My Hindi was awful. So, it's another way of just, interacting and communicating with people where you could be taken advantage of. And I'd never stayed in India on my own. So when I went to Mumbai, I literally just rocked up. I was with my auntie in Bangalore for a bit. Then from there, I just booked a flight, rocked up with a friend of a friend of a friend, turned up to their place, and I was on their couch, sleeping in their hallway basically. And that's how it was. And then I would be taking autos and everything. I went to Inega and they signed me up, and then they sent me out for acting. And I've never given an audition before, and I rock up to this place and they're like, you'll be fine, you'll ace it. And I was like, what do I even do here? And the dada who is basically taking the audition just looked at me and was like, who is this uneducated girl just turned up, and what is she doing here? So, they trained me on that. Like, this is how you give a self-tape in India. This is how, you turn up to an audition. This is the kind of etiquette that you have when you're going to auditions. So, agencies are great for that kind of stuff. And they would, send me a link of, the address. And, India's got really, small, tiny, gullies and lanes and stuff, which we don't have here in London. London's very easy. Even though it's confusing, it's so much easier. In India, you could walk through a lane and I'd be like, okay, so I need to be at 26B. And actually, 26B is upstairs, but on the other side of the road. And you're like, why? Why? But on the maps, on Google Maps, it's telling me I'm standing right outside of it. So it's crazy because those things don't add up, and your agency takes care of that. They'll tell you go here, but go around. So in places where, and I think you might agree because you guys were in South Africa, I think it's similar in the layout, those shanty towns and stuff.
Yeah.
Where you need to be told those things because otherwise you'd never find out. And if you haven't done it before, it's scary.
Yeah. And again, why you need a good agent, right?
I agree. Yeah, definitely. Over there, the reason I went freelance there was because less about the acting, less about the modeling, and more the acting started to kind of be really interesting to me. And for that, I didn't really need an agency as much. So, I had made links with the different audition houses, the different productions, and they would email me or WhatsApp me, because over there it's mainly on a WhatsApp link. So they would WhatsApp me, be like, da 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 da, this is what we want. Come dressed like this, you're fit, you're not fit, and turn up, this is the address, we want you here from this time to this time, come and give an audition. So, it was a lot easier because I didn't need anybody to manage me. I had the links where I was receiving those myself. So that's why freelance, I feel, was a little bit easier for me there as well. And again, I don't have to give a cut to anybody. So, I was putting out my own rent, I was putting out my food, everything. So I wasn't living with an agency house, even when I was with the agency, because that is deducted from what you earn. You're still paying, you're still being charged. It is an agency fee, but it's a hidden fee that you, so if you're just starting off, then an agency is great. If you want big campaigns, an agency is preferable. But, if you just want to do random jobs, you don't mind, you don't really want to be a headline billboard person, but you want to do the modeling that comes in daily, commercial stuff, I think it's great. Yeah. Being freelance is great.
I think you hit the nail on the head, right? I was going to say, I think from my experience, if you're looking at really high-end big brands and, huge campaigns and billboards and all of this kind of stuff, then that will come to agencies. It's quite rare for them to kind of approach freelancers.
Exactly.
But then certain things, for example, especially a lot of catwalk shows, right? A lot of fashion weeks do take on freelancers, and they tend to hold open castings. Yeah. And sometimes this is about getting the balance. And I think once you're in the industry, you're absolutely spot on that it's really, you have to start with an agency. So you've got someone to almost look after you and obviously make sure they're a legit agency, right? But exactly. I think once you get your foot in the door, you start realizing that actually sometimes it can go both ways. Being with an agency isn't necessarily always a good thing. Am I going to find more work and better work if I go out and look for it myself? So I think you get an understanding of that the longer you're in the industry, right?
Exactly.
I just want to touch upon, you mentioned the whole payment thing towards agencies, right? And I think a lot of budding models fall into that trap of paying agencies loads of fees and all of this kind of stuff. I also just want to add that agencies you being signed to an agency does cost them, right? So they need to print your portfolios, they need to print your comp cards. There's even like sometimes admin fees, but none of that should be taken up front. So that should come out of your wages,
Yeah,
or it should
you're
come
an
out of any commission.
investment for an agency.
Exactly.
You should pay
And
yourself back, is what it is.
yeah, exactly. And but that is one thing to watch out. It's a bit like you're saying, when you're even modeling abroad, you pay for your own expenses, and a lot of people don't realize this. It's like, when you were in India or I went Cape Town, people are like, "Oh my God, that's so amazing!
Oh,
That's so
so
amazing!" I'm like,
glamorous.
I paid for my own flights, I paid for my own accommodation, and don't get me wrong, my agency was willing to pay for it, but then I would need to pay them
They
back
would take
anyway.
it back. Exactly.
So it's the same thing. So I'd rather just like pay
Do
for it
it
up front.
yourself.
And then imagine you're there for months paying rent and stuff, right? And then you might not be booking any work. So it's such a gamble.
I've got
But
one of my bookers, Sanju, she's just turned up. So
oh,
that is one of my bookers from when I used to work with Onega. They guys are literally, they treat you like they're babies. And they're so much fun. Even if you have nothing going on, if you just used to be able to walk in and hang out with them, they are amazing. So
Sanju, hook me up. I'm 6 foot, 30 years old, from the UK.
you're
I
gonna
can speak
love him,
Punjabi.
Sanju.
I
Just
can
take
speak
a look
Urdu.
at him. His abs.
Not right now. Not right now. I'll work on it.
This lockdown bodies don't count. This is why we are
Yeah,
here and above.
exactly, exactly. But no, it makes such a big difference. Like I was saying, I hope my London agencies are not watching, because my Cape Town agency compared to my London ones, like oh my God, like we built such an amazing relationship. Like even as soon as I walked through the door,
Yeah.
it was like the way they were with me was like they had known me my whole life. And sometimes with the agencies, even in London, like some of my agencies, they're great, but you just feel a little bit like,
Like
are
a
they
little
really
bit
looking
more kind
after
of
you?
something like I need something. Like I'm a very like I don't know what you want to call it, bubbly person. Like I'm a very I like to maintain relationships with people, even if they're
Yeah,
working
exactly,
relationships.
same.
So like I am very touchy-feely. I will hug you, I will kiss you. Like I don't care who you are. If you're my friend, that's it. I love you. So, I'm like that, and I like to make friends with the people that I work with. I think that's just the way we've kind of, I don't know, integrated in this particular industry. We make a lot of friendships, and I feel like when you have an agency, it's important to have that personal relationship, because if you're going to stick it out with them for a while or a long time, they need to know you in and out, I feel, and you need to know them. It needs to have like a basis of trust. If you guys don't have that, then it's very difficult to work with each other.
Yeah, absolutely. So what would you say are the main differences that you noticed in the industry compared to the Brit-Asian in the UK and like the Indian market, having worked in both? Like whether that is to do with work itself, the amount of work, or whether it's even things like payments.
In the British Asian industry, it's very blasé for a model to just be given a quick fee and then they're out the door. I don't feel like the British Asian industry respects them as much. We are just a blank canvas. I've heard this so many times. You're just a blank canvas. You're there to just wear what I want. And I agree with that. You are a hanger for whoever it is you're working with, whether it's a hairstylist, a makeup artist, or a designer. But that does not mean that you do not put in graft as well. I'm sure you could probably agree to this. Fashion weekends are horrific on your body. Horrific. And when I say horrific, I mean when I first started out doing fashion shows, I gave myself nerve damage in my toes. For like 3 years, I had no feeling in them.
Wow.
So
Wow.
because like you're just constantly in heels for 3 to 4 days for like 8 to 10 hours every single day.
I know the feeling.
But you guys have them with shoes because you guys are in boots, so it's similar. But like I know some of the guys, they bring in their own like heeled boots, which for you guys is also equally uncomfortable. Or you guys get
You
like
got to give us 5'11" lot need to give ourselves some height.
yeah, exactly, just a quick a top up. And like those things, I think they make a huge difference, and your body is exhausted because you've got to hold yourself. Like when you're walking, your shoulders are back, your neck is like as tight as you can keep it, you're holding your stomach in. Even if your stomach is just non-existent, you still want to make it look more taut. There is a whole method to it, and I think photo shoots are equally the same, because people don't realize you're pushing your body into unnatural positions to make it look the way it does, to make it come out as supple, as, you know, slender, or as attractive as it looks on print, because the camera always makes you look bigger, whether you're a size 8 or whether you're a size 12, or even if you're an 18 size plus model. It always makes you look bigger, and there's nothing you can do to avoid that. The camera doesn't discriminate. So it will, you know, put a lot of stress on your body. And that's why, you know, people within the lens take so much time off. You always see these models on holiday, you always see these actors, because it strains the body a lot. These crash diets that actors take on, it strains their body, and you need to recover from it.
Totally.
So, you know, it's actually a lot that goes into, you know, the work that we see on print and on screen. Usage is only a single way that I feel like they're underpaid on it. People are not appreciated for it. In the UK, there's this massive tendency to take models for free, which is a whole other topic. And, you know, they don't care who they have as long as they have a face. You could actually walk like a penguin, and they don't care. And the problem is,
I've always said it, you get what you pay for.
but the thing is, the British Asian industry is losing it, because we have these Eurocentric features. We have these overtly photoshopped like boys and girls who don't look anything like what they do. Like I've got a broken nose here, and there's a bump that sits just here. My nose goes flat. Now, since that's happened about 4 years ago, my nose is never my nose in any British Asian photo shoot I do. Never. My nose is always a copy paste of the girl on the next, like, you know, print job next to me. It's never my face. And there's no texture, there's nothing. So, you know, I feel like these are really important. When you get usage, there's a very limited amount of creative tendencies that a Photoshop can do. You're not allowed to change my face as much. You're not allowed to, you know, distort my body as much as you would. So those things are really important with usage. And, you know, if you're going to use my face for the next 10 years, hello, why should I not get money out of it?
Exactly.
You know, so usage is really important.
Really important. And I think there's this thing with the British Asian, like we find it as guys too, and I'm sure any male models watching this can verify this too, that even with the guys, they do heavy makeup on us. I'm like, the thing is, like, my face doesn't take makeup, right? Like, it doesn't take makeup very well.
Most of the boys don't, because they're not used to it.
Yeah, and like I have, like, also on top of it, I have quite like prominent features, like my eyes are quite large, my lips are quite big, and things like that. And so in the mainstream, like, it's nothing. It's like, okay, quick pat down, just like cover any pimples or whatever, that's fine. But Asians go full on, like they go full on. And
I
I
have
look
makeup
like a drag
problem,
queen.
and I think you feel this. Makeup is coming off for days. I'll be wiping my face off, and I'm like, ugh. My mom's like, do not clean your face. No, it's just that much foundation.
And you know, when you first start out, you have this notion of, I can't complain, I shouldn't complain. They're the client, they know what they're doing. But it got to a point where I would just go to toilets and just like pat down as much as I could, because I'm like, because I started looking at the pictures and I was like, I almost look as feminine as I do with the girl that I'm walking next to.
Yeah. But I think
it's too
that's,
much.
again, it's a stereotype that they set, that they want these almost masculine yet feminine features. It's like a high fashion end South Asian brand, but you're never going to get that. And the thing is, the South Asian community is very, very unrealistic in their expectations. You know, they want you to look perfectly tanned, but they're not too tanned. They want your features to be symmetrical, very Eurocentric, but, you know, still very ethnic. They're at this stage where I feel like they want to hold on to what they think they should look like and, you know, being true to themselves, and it doesn't always balance out. Whereas if you go to India right now, there's a very clear divide between what is fashion and what is commercial. You know, your very typical 90s supermodel look, that is very, very much fashion. And this is literally my perspective on it. I only see the very dark-skinned girls with an A-frame on Indian catwalks or, you know, doing fashion editorials. That's really the look at the moment because of the Sabyasachis and, you know, the Manish Malhotras and Gaurav Guptas. That's their look. That's a trend right now, the ethnic vibe. And it's great because these guys are getting representation. But on the flip side, they do not want those same girls doing commercial work because it's only the fair-skinned girls. And
The
you
fair
can
and
be
lovelies.
fair and lovelies, and you can be curvier, but, you know, God forbid, if you're dusky, it's very difficult to get into acting or into, you know, all these other things. And I feel like that's something you don't find as much here. And I feel like talent is slightly more respected in India
Okay.
than it is here in the British Asian industry. The British Asian industry treats their talent like really badly. I personally, my habits have changed because of the British Asian industry. I never used to eat on a shoot because they're like, your makeup's gonna get messed up. So I would come in with my own snacks. Now people sometimes feed you. Before, in the beginning, they never used to feed you. In India, the first shoot I ever did, I was told I have a vanity, and I was like, for me and who? And they were like, for you, you have a vanity, and we have an all-day like kitchen there, so eat as much as you want. And I was like shocked. And the other models were like to me,
you're like, I'm staying in India. I'm staying right here.
There was a dada there making whatever you want. There was like fried idlis, there was dosas, there was parathas, there was chapatis, there was sambar, there was everything you could think of. There was a fruit table, there was salad, whatever you want was there. And then you've got like tea on a tap. You've got drink on a tap. You want a limca, we'll get you one. You want a nimbu pani, like a lemon water, we'll get you one. Whatever you want. Like, they really respect it. And over there, they respect everybody. Everyone's on an equal level. Chirag knows, spot dada. Every 2 seconds, if you want something, spot dada, ek pani please. Spot dada, can you please wipe my face? They treat you like royalty there. Over here, can I get my blouse tied up? Do it yourself. Can I please help
you know where the toilets are? Go sort yourself out.
Go help yourself. Like I said, I'm very broad, like my shoulders are very wide. I get stuck in a dress. Jasmine, pull yourself out. And I can't breathe. Pull yourself out. You'll be fine. Don't be dramatic. They don't care.
They don't. But I must admit, because I predominantly work in the commercial market, even in the UK, because I'm commercial as hell. But and to be fair, like in the mainstream commercial market, we are treated very nicely. Like I know you've done some commercial work too, and you know you're given food non-stop. You're really looked after. Like, people are always there for you. But I think it's just fashion. Like, I think fashion is just so, in the UK at least, whether it's mainstream or British Asian, like it's just
everywhere,
so like,
I feel.
boom, 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 boom. Like, they don't have time to feed you.
Oh no,
they're like, we don't have time
fast.
to undress you. Like, you're a model, you're expected to do it all yourself.
Yeah, fashion is a very hard place to be. So if you are not thick-skinned at all, then you know you need to make sure you step away from that completely, because I'm very thick-skinned and it doesn't bother me, but even I, you know, get rubbed the wrong way sometimes. And I feel like, particularly in the Asian industry and even in like high-end fashion, racism is rife. You know, size shaming is rife. If you can't be ready to deal with it, then you know you might as well walk out now.
It just it brings me on to the next topic that I want to ask you about. It's kind of some of the potential, like I'm gonna get you to name drop, because this is called name drop after all. So like, I want you to just spill the tea and give us some examples, and if you don't mind me sharing, because I remember seeing you backstage. I didn't actually walk in this particular show, but I remember going to watch it because a lot of my friends were on the catwalk, and I was like, yeah, cool. And then I remember seeing you backstage afterwards, and
I was so angry.
I just remember you fuming. So if you don't mind, can you just share that incident with us, and any other potential instances where you've just felt really rubbish, or you felt some kind of discrimination against you, or you've just had some low moments where you're just like, ah.
Yeah, sure. So it was one of the Asian catwalks, and I've only done one mainly, so you know, fill in the blanks there. But
check out her Instagram page. Check out the pictures.
I mean, they're lovely. They really, really are lovely. But, you know, when you have homegrown talent coming and working here, then that's where the problem occurs. And I feel like the Asian industry still is not very accepting of, you know, their little cliques outside of it. Indians still discriminate against, you know, Pakistanis and Bangladeshis. Bangladeshis and Pakistanis also discriminate against the Indians. And then you have the inter-community, like Hindus, Muslims, and this. I was in this show, blank, one of the only blanks there from the other team. So, you know, I was on my own, and I've worked this show a few times. Everybody knows me, I know everyone, and we get along very well. There's a great sense of respect there. The problem occurs when you have the homegrown talent that start kind of like poking. And this is the one time I think I'd ever seen it at that particular show where I had actually lost weight and turned up, and people were quite surprised when they saw me because, like I said, I'm curvy. So they said, you know, you're looking good, da da da. And then you have a very well-known face, and she turned up and she's just looking at me, looking at me, looking at me. And obviously I speak a different language, and you know, she speaks Urdu and I speak Hindi with a bit of a different accent to it. And I must have said something, and then they turned around and they said, you're not, you know, from here, where are you from? And I said, oh, you know, I'm Punjabi. Not from this side Punjabi, you're from that side Punjabi. And I said, oh yeah, okay. And after that, every jab, every small kind of thing was to do with the fact that I am the wrong side. And, you know, I'm not, you know, I don't know how things are done. I don't have this tehzeeb and, you know, all this kinds of stuff. And it was like small things. And then, you know, I'd be dressed.
Were these models, or were these designers or
stylists? They're kind of like entourage and models. Yeah, very well-known faces. So, you know, it was very kind of like, let's pick at the one person who's not part of this community because, you know, whatever the reason is. And, you know, you can get to it at a point, but when they start sabotaging, which is what was happening, I had gotten dressed and they tried to pull me out of my dress before I was walking on. I walked onto the stage, and literally the stylist grabbed my arm and said, "Yahan pe thoda zyada wazn nahi badh gaya, darling?" And I was like, because it threw me off just as I'm about to step out. And literally, for those of you who obviously don't understand, it just means, you know, haven't you gotten like a bit heavier on top here? And they grabbed my arm, and that really threw me off. I stumbled as I walked out, and I messed up my walk. And I came back, and I was like burning on my face. I was literally almost in tears. And I said, how could you do that? Like, from where did this come from? And I went to the organizers and I said, you know what? You guys show me so much love and respect. I don't expect this kind of behavior from anyone. You know, I actually threatened to take it public because I was like, you know, how do you think that will sound? People love this show. And you know, how do you think it will sound when there's been discrimination between these particular communities? I said, I don't think that, especially from a big face like that, I said, I don't think it would go down well. And they were like, no, calm down, relax, you know, just, you know, it'll be okay. We'll sort it out. We'll speak to them. You know what they're like, these homegrown talents. They've got a lot of attitude, but you'll be fine. Don't worry. And, you know, the first day I ignored it. The second day it was like, you know, this girl, that person, move her over there. And it was a bit too much because, you know, in the UK, we don't have that kind of a level between us. We treat everybody the same on a set, unless you are like literally the millionaire creme de la creme level.
We all do, like Indians, Pakistanis, Bangladeshis, white, Caucasian, European, whatever you are. Like, even like when I was in this live and I was like, my fellow Punjabi, like, I don't care what side of Punjab you are, like, you are my fellow Punjabi. Do you know what I mean? So it's just so interesting, like you say, when the homegrown talent comes through. Yeah, and you know, I remember when I saw you guys, because you were there, Babik was there, and I walked out and I was so mad, and I think Zara was coming behind me. She's like, calm down, calm down. I was like, I'm gonna kick someone's ass, I'm gonna screw them over. And she was like, I think you saw me and you were like, are you okay, like what's wrong? And I was like, I'm leaving, thank you, I'm leaving, bye. You're like, I don't think if I'm gonna come back tomorrow, like, yeah. And then you told us that, and to be fair, I was genuinely like, that was yeah, no, because, you know, especially from a place where you've gotten love and respect, suddenly when it switches and they don't want to stand up to it because, you know, these people are well known, it kind of clashes and rubs you the wrong way. And I think that's
I don't take bullshit from people. I might be nicer about it, but I'm a very vocal person, like,
Yeah.
and I think that's one thing that people are not used to in this industry. And that's why it rubs people up the wrong way.
And it's about getting that balance, right? Between being respectful, getting your job done, but also not taking any bullshit either. And I
Yeah,
think
exactly,
some people struggle
definitely.
to find that line. Some people are willing to get walked all over, especially newbies, because they feel like I have to take this. And then others are just complete divas and like
Yeah,
saying, I'm gonna wear this and like I'm gonna do this and I want to get
yeah,
paid this much and it's all about me. I want to be showstopper. And it's about trying to get
yeah.
the balance, right?
And the thing is, like,
Um,
it's like what you said, that balance. You need to have that level of respect as well when you're talking. I was at a shoot a couple of months back when we had that break between lockdown, and you've got all these people who are putting makeup on you, and then you're kind of like stepping in and redoing the makeup, telling them this is not my shade, and doing this and like redoing their makeup. Like, that is disrespectful. You can't step in, restyle something a stylist has done, redo the hair or redo the makeup, and then tell the person, like, you know what, this is a great job you've done, because you're interfering with their art there. And that's
yeah,
where that whole blank canvas comes in. You're there to model, you're not there to interfere with the art the person is creating. And that's what I feel like a lot of this new talent doesn't understand. You can't get an attitude just because you've done a few recent campaigns or you've done a few print
exactly.
shoots. It doesn't mean anything, because modeling here in the South Asian industry in Britain, it doesn't mean anything. We're all still working day jobs. It doesn't pay our bills. Like, I don't know who you're kidding,
Preach,
right?
preach. It doesn't pay the bills. No.
Not even like a fifth. So, that's the other thing, because a lot of people, they don't have respect for vice versa. Like I said, there's no respect for the talent. The talent equally does not have respect for, the people who are working on the production side of things, the photographers, the hairstylists, the makeup artists, the stylists. They don't respect their own places. And I feel like that
Yeah.
is another thing that's kind of like falling apart in the South Asian industry specifically, because you can't do that.
Yeah.
It's very rude, and you're just not going to get booked. You'll get a bad name for yourself.
Exactly. I mean, I just want to go back to this particular show you were talking about. And
Hmm.
I personally, I've never walked in that show and I have my own issues with it. Um, because on that very particular same time that you had your problems and, you worked with the team, the UK side of the team, and you've always gotten really well. My experience with them is I only ever attended one casting and I was very new then, so my walk probably wasn't great, but I felt very dismissed. But
Mm.
it's fine. I got used to it. I got a thick skin. I'm like, this is how castings work. It's fine. And they haven't really had any castings since. But I remember this one particular time when I watched the show, and I did a live with Zara Sheikh the other day, and we were
Yeah,
talking
yeah,
about the
yeah.
same
I
thing.
watched it.
And Jazz, again, this is not me sounding bitter, but I mean, we've got the usuals like Burricks, Nav, Haider, who are great. I love them to bits and their walks are fantastic. So they are normally the main ones that get taken on, right? But they had a lot of European Caucasian faces that time. Like I'm talking about five, six,
Yeah, yeah.
and
There was a lot of
faces
new faces.
yeah, faces I've never seen before,
Mm.
etc. And you could tell they were newbies because, to be honest with you, with all due respect to them, their walks weren't brilliant.
Weren't the best,
Like
yeah.
they weren't the best, and yeah, that made me a little bit salty because I was like, I probably could have done a better job. So when I was backstage mingling with everyone, I spoke to one of the stylists. I won't name his name, but he's a lovely guy. He's a really nice
Yes.
guy. And then I was like, I'm gonna be honest with you. Like I watched the show, and I'm just gonna put it out there. I could have done a better job.
Yeah.
So like, what is that all about? And he simply straight up said to me, he goes, "You're not white."
Duh.
And he was like, "You're not white," and I was like,
What's your
"Okay, what does
point?
that even?" And he goes, it's not me. He goes, it's not me. It's not the producers. It's the designers that have flown in from Pakistan, and they're telling us that if we want brown faces walking in our clothes, we can be doing the show back in Pakistan.
Exactly.
Why do we need to be in London?
Correct.
And then I was like, so what do you want me to do? Should I put art on my face? Like, do you want me to like, what, you
I
know what I
remember
mean?
that conversation when I was really mad. I
Were you
walked
there?
past it and I heard that actor line. I remember it.
Yeah. And then like, so it was just like, so that's my thing, right? And again, I think, as you say, it's more to do with the homegrown talent that comes in, whether it's designers or stylists from there or even models themselves. Like, I think they have this thing, right? And it's really sad when you see that kind of whether it's colorism or racism, any
Yeah.
kind of discrimination. Because
No,
we're here
definitely.
in the UK fighting for, I guess fighting not for our rights, but fighting to not even be put into a box,
I
right?
think
Like
it's
especially
just,
when it comes to mainstream.
yeah, it's
And
more the
then
equal
you're like,
opportunity. That's what
yeah,
we want. It's
exactly.
equal and fair opportunity. And I think that's
And then
something,
when your own people are doing exactly that, it's like we're trying to fight against this in the mainstream market, and here you are, like doing it within your own community, which
yeah,
I
like
find even
it's
more
like I'm trying
frustrating.
to tell these people what to do, but you guys can't even get your shit sorted.
Exactly. But just on a more lighter, positive note, I know you've done some. I'm just gonna give like a big shout out here. Like this girl here, she's done what an ad for Shadi.com. She's done an ad for Samsung in India. Like, so you have done some good commercial stuff too, and
Yeah,
you've done
some.
some really good fashion weeks. And I'm not gonna name them now because the one we were
Thank you.
talking about was one of them. So you have done really well. So like, I mean, do you hopefully post lockdown and post COVID? I mean, are you just intending on doing more the same? What sort of directions you want to go in?
Like,
Because I know
I
you
would
mentioned a
love
little bit
to.
of acting too, right? So is that something that you want to
Yeah,
consider now?
so
Or
I really kind of got stuck into this acting kira when I went to India, and it's really fun. Like, I love it and I miss it so much. My friends are calling me back all the time, like, when are you coming back? Like, everything's opening up slowly and I love it. I'm trying to see maybe if I could even look at stuff here, but I think it's all based on, again, what the field looks like post COVID, because I feel like it's going to change so
let's
much.
read out the question that's
Yeah.
come through from Anuja. Is that how do you feel people ask you to work for them in exchange? You get exposure, TFP. TFP is time for print. So I remember this was a whole conversation years ago. It still goes on, sorry. So okay, I'm gonna say this. When it comes to the whole payment thing, what I've learned in the over the years is you need to use everything to your advantage.
Hmm.
Okay? So if someone is asking you to shoot for free, okay, here's my take on it. If someone is asking you to shoot for free, you need to look at it two ways. If it's selling something for that person, so if it's a designer and they're going to make money out of it because it's going to sell, the clothes are going to sell. If it's jewelry, if it's makeup, whatever it might be, you as a talent should be getting paid, right? Because you are advertising something. So you are working, okay?
Hmm.
On the other hand, if it's a photographer who's building their portfolio and you as a model want to build your portfolio and you just want to get some nice images for your portfolio book, then time for print is totally cool. Then
This is where the problem is, right? So then it's not time for print, it's a collaboration. And
yeah,
this is why I have an issue with the acronym TFP, because time for print is actually, okay, I'm gonna be rude. It's fucking bullshit. Okay. Time for print is non-existent. It doesn't exist. That's just a nice way of saying, we'll do you a job without paying you. Collaboration is the correct term, or a test shoot. That's what it is. And a collaboration, to just equal it up, is like what you said. Everybody's on equal ground. Everybody gets equal, positive feedback. Everybody gets equal positive something from it. We all get photographs. We all get the same thing. We all get something for our portfolios.
another question I get asked a lot, kind of related to that, is test shoots. Should I be paying for test shoots and or whatnot? Again, it's what I would say is I have paid for test shoots in the
Hmm.
past, and this is again the difference between TFP, collaboration, test shoots. The test shoots are done in order for you to build your portfolio, and sometimes your agency will send you to the right photographers to get these pictures because they might feel like you have something lacking or missing in your portfolio. So if you need more lifestyle or if you need more high fashion type of images in your book, or they want some more headshots, whatever it might be, and you might need to do this on a 6 monthly, yearly basis because you want to keep your, if you change your
Keep it
look or
looking
just keep your
fresh.
book refreshed,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
So like, there's been times like I have paid maybe £200-300 for a test shoot, but I have got some kick-ass images.
It's helped
Like
you, right?
it's really helped me. Like, and some of those I shot back in 2017, 16 when I was starting, and my agency still use those images continuously. They're the first ones that, and you guys will probably recognize them from my Instagram. You probably can tell which ones they are because they're just so
The
damn good.
quality of it. Exactly.
Yeah, they're so damn. So you don't mind paying if the photographer is legit, because you have to remember that's the photographer's job.
Yeah,
Just how we
of
as models,
course.
our job is to be the talent and be the models, and we expect to get paid. So if a photographer is there for that job, then they deserve to be getting paid if you're
Yeah.
gaining something out of it, right?
And again,
I,
having respect for their fees, like not trying to bargain it down, like just respect that, that's their way of making money as well. They're not getting
exactly,
exposure of working with you unless you're like a Kendall or a Kylie Jenner, you know, it really
exactly,
doesn't make a difference to
exactly.
them.
And likewise, this is why you need to do your research. And again, coming back to the whole thing, it's good having an agency because they'll take you to good photographers. But then, like, when I first started out, I approached some kind of agency, which wasn't really an agency, and they charged me like a couple of £100. And that's when you know it's not legit because the photographer was just a random person with a DSLR in their hands. And
I've had
like,
that as well. So I think
so
a lot of us have had it, and that's why we've got such a strong stance on it, because we don't want other people to fall into that same thing. So, I completely agree with you. Like it needs to be something that is like of quality that you're paying for. It shouldn't
do
just
your
be,
research.
yeah, definitely,
Do your
definitely.
research. Look at this photographer's Instagram, look at their socials, do
Yeah,
they
we've
have a
got socials
website?
now. We didn't have those. Like Instagram just started out when I came into the industry, just. So, you can find out so much just by looking at a person's Instagram.
Yeah. And like if you can see that their photography probably isn't great, but you just want to get a bit of practice in front of the camera, great. Do something as a collab, right? Like just like practice your angles, things like that. So neither of you are going to be getting paid, but at least you're getting some experience out of it. But if you look at the page and the images are clean, fresh, professional, and it's going to entice agencies and clients, then if you've got the budget, then be willing to spend the next amount to get some good images for your
Yeah, for
portfolio. So
sure.
again, I get this question quite a lot going international, and I think you talked about it quite a bit. So thank you for that. But I think you kind of need to know um, what kind of market you will fit into, right? And sometimes
Definitely.
what can help is, I don't know if you had one, but I actually have a mother agency, which really helped me. And they were like, we think you would do well in Cape Town. Let me just put you out to some
Yeah,
people in
if
Cape
you've
Town.
got an agency, like for example, like you said, like you're based in the UK, so your agency will have tie-ups with other agencies internationally and they become your mother agency. So yeah, always ask your agency and see, because I
Yeah,
was freelance already at the time, so I didn't have one. But there's plenty of girls who I know, and guys, especially Europe is very well known for it. They always have mother agencies and they like put them in touch with their sister companies, or like,
yeah.
other people who they think they've got good tie-ups with or good relations with, and they will send you out there. So definitely like take a look at those things, because your agencies will always give you options. It's about how far you're willing to work with them, and then they'll find something for you if they're a good
Yeah,
agency.
absolutely. Because there will be somewhere in the world that wants your look, right? And
Always, there's always
it's like
some
getting that
place.
balance. Like for me, I feel like maybe if I did approach Pakistan, India, like maybe they will be like, we've got so many. You look like people here. Why do
You
we need
would
you?
you would do well, because you've got like that nice jawline, you've got the beard, you've got the nice lovely hair, you've got the height, and you've got the body. So you're like
Flattery
everything
will
they
get you
wanted.
everywhere, Jazz.
They would love it. They would completely love it, because they've got that set look that they always want.
We finish off. Anything that you would like to add, whether that's any advice, anything that you may want to add for the people watching.
I feel like you should make sure you have fun whilst doing it, because it shows. When you're not happy, the camera catches everything. So if you're not enjoying what you do, if you are stressing about it, don't do it. I think creativity is best when you enjoy it. And if you're not enjoying something, then what is the point of doing it? If people are body shaming you and telling you you're too big and it's hurting you, if people are treating you badly, don't go where you're not wanted. Go where you're comfortable, because that's where your best work is going to come from.
I couldn't agree more. And I say this all the time. I feel like that's become my motto. I'm like, if only life is too short.
Yeah.
Do what makes you happy. Do what you're going to enjoy. And yet, you know what? I feel like often, not just when I do these lives, but just generally, I feel like maybe we can often give off like a pessimistic view of the industry and
The
our life as a
industry
model.
is amazing, but it's also crap. It's life. Life is
Yeah,
beautiful and disgusting at the same time.
we wouldn't be doing it like if we weren't one strong enough to handle it, or
Yeah.
two we didn't really enjoy the highs, right? Like the only time I think I would feel low, like I don't have the most amazing body, right? So like, but at the same like, no,
Let's
I
just
don't.
reel off all the boys who we have in the industry. Everybody go to Naeem's Instagram and check all his throwback pics.
Go Photoshop throwbacks, like filters, you know it. I
Naeem,
did not actually
I'm
wake
gonna
up.
make you do pull up your shirt. Show them your abs.
I have no abs right now. Like I am willing to show you I have no abs at all. So yeah,
Okay,
I
you
wouldn't want
keep
to
your
scare
shirt
all the
on. Don't
audience
worry.
away.
You're gonna scare them away.
But like I have to say, like I've been lucky in that I've never felt rubbish for no one's ever picked on me about my body or my look or whatever. I've got the height thing quite a lot, but that's to be expected.
Yeah,
The only time I felt quite low is just when you don't book a job that you really want,
yeah,
right? And especially when you get down to like the top two and like you get all these callbacks and things like that, and then you still miss out, it's such a rubbish feeling.
yeah.
Like
I
it's a
agree
really
for
rubbish feeling.
sure.
But so that's the only time I said I would feel low. And then of course there's the whole potential discrimination, things like that. And for me, it's not that I feel low, it's more the fact that I want to raise awareness about the whole thing and sort of be a bit more of a spokesperson in that sense. But otherwise, I love every second of being in this industry.
I
Like
love it so much. I don't think I see myself doing anything but like something creative. And I would always want to be in touch with it. I tell my partner this all the time, that I don't care what I'm doing as long as it's something creative now because I've been doing it for so long. Everything else bores me. I don't meet as interesting people as I do within this industry. I've learned so much being in this industry. Some of my biggest life lessons have come whilst working, creatively. It's taught me so much patience. It's taught me, how to negotiate with people. There's some good life skills that you need,
100%.
It's all about how you handle it, as it is with anything at the end of the day. So, you just got to be sure of yourself and where you're going. Because for me, the only thing that makes me feel low is, when I'm not performing to, my maximum potential or something like that. If I feel like, it's the body shaming or something that has suddenly started getting to me, which it's never done, but if it suddenly starts getting to me, that's where I know I need to take some time back, reevaluate and reset, and then bring myself back to the
Exactly.
table. That's maybe you burning out. So it's important to be self-aware as well.
Like for me personally, I feel like it's made me a much more confident person.
Yeah, yeah, I
Like I had a
agree.
little bit of that before anyway. Like I've always been, I like to think quietly confident, but like it just really, you learn how to present yourself, how to kind of sell yourself as a
Mm.
person, and it really helps. And also, I just want to say how many amazing people I have met in this industry.
So many. Some of like our most like I want to say great friends, but we don't see each other, but we're still great friends.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
I love meeting the people however many times I see them over the years. It's like we just pick up back from where we left off. It,
And
it's
this whole
it's easy.
stereotype of like, you know, everyone in the industry being fake or being really catty and blah 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 blah, and you don't really make any genuine friends. In the 3 decades of my life, like I have met a lot of people in my life. Like I've lived in lots of different countries, I've studied in lots of different places, I've made some amazing friends, but the few people that I've made really close friends with in this 4 or 5 years of the industry, like, oh my God, like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
it's
yeah.
just
They're like
there's beautiful
soul
people
soul
inside and out.
friends, literally. Like you connect on a full kind of level. There's like certain aspects where you connect with people, but these people, like, you connect with them on an internal level, like your soul like connects. Literally, you feel that sense of home with them.
100%, 100%. So I just want to say a big thank you for joining
Thank you
me,
for
for
having
taking time
me.
out and answering everyone's questions and discussing this with me. Guys, I'm gonna obviously upload this on my YouTube, so please follow Naeem Drop. And if you guys have any more questions that you want to ask later, then obviously come on to our DMs. Like Jazz, do you want to just give a shout out what the name of your Instagram page is so people
Yeah,
can
it's
follow?
literally like you said, Jazz D, JAZZDHI. I'm the first and only one who turns up at the top, so you can't miss me.
Yeah, it's Jazz D. It's not Jazzy D, by the way, which is what I like to call her. That's just like my thing that I like to call her. But
It was fine. They'll find me either way.
great. So, guys, please give her a follow. And Jazz, is lovely chatting. And
Thank
obviously,
you for
keep up the
having me,
amazing good
babe.
work, both your normal retail work, and then hopefully, once we pass all this back to the modeling aspect of this, and I hope I get to see you soon. But yeah, thank you so much.
Take care.
Take care. Bye bye.
Bye.
Guys, so that was my live with Jazzy D, as I like to call her. she's a sweetheart. She's such a lovely person inside and out. So I hope that gave you some insight with regards to her experiences both in the British Asian market and the South Asian Indian market. Like, comment, share, subscribe, show your love. And I will be back next week with another live with someone else from the industry. I'm also going to be starting some lives in terms of mental health, especially men's mental health. So please stay tuned for that. Yeah, as always, thank you so much for joining me. Have a lovely rest of the week. Not long to go, almost the weekend. And I will see you guys very soon. Till then, peace and love.